Good evening and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're here to give our instant match reaction to Bournemouth 2, Leeds United 2 with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me to discuss the game, Jason Booker. Get your likes and get your comments and get subscribed to the channel. As Gav says, this team never gives up. It's another 2-2 draw against Bournemouth, but this time the late goal goes in the favour of Leeds United. And yeah, a bit of a roller coaster of a game. I mean, it's weird is this Bournemouth game, because obviously the focus now is we beat Man United, we beat Wolves, got to 39 points. And this Bournemouth game, obviously we've got a huge Wembley visit at the weekend, and this Bournemouth game was kind of just there. They're flying, they're doing absolutely brilliant. One of the form teams, if not the form team at the moment. And I didn't have much trepidation going into this game. I didn't have the fear like, you do normally as a Leeds United fan, but to just kind of sit back and watch us be competitive against a very good team, and we'll get into all that. But then to snatch a point at the death, I mean, that it feels like a win. It just feels massive. And more importantly, 40 points on the board with, 4 games to go. Excellent stuff. A really good finish. Really enjoyable for Leeds fans there. Jay, a few minutes on from full time. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, kind of same to you. I think it's not just the back-to-back wins and the semi-final of the FA Cup at the weekend. It's also the fact that I didn't expect us to get anything tonight. I thought a draw would have been an absolute win-win. I'd have snapped your hands off with the draw. At half-time, I said to you, yeah, a bit more of that. Let's get out of this with a point. I'm happy. So for us to kind of snatch that in that way towards the end is brilliant. And I said to you before we came on, I thought we were obviously second best in the game. If a team deserved to win the game, it was them. But at the same time, I still think that we were good value for a point. I think there were a lot to like in the performance. We had moments of where we were in control of the game and we were really pushing them, scoring the equaliser, the first one that is, and then the moments after that, we looked like going and taking the game on. They're a very, very good side. That is up there for me with one of the best away or home performances I've seen against Leeds United when we're away from home. It was right up there. They were brilliant. Senesi was unreal out of the back line. 2 assists for a centre back is nuts. And then you bringing players like Ryan on, who's got so much technical ability and the movement. Alex Scott, I thought was it is Alex Scott, isn't it? Yeah, Alex Scott in the midfield was unreal. I thought Tyler Adams when he came on was really, really good. Unfortunately, and Ivan Nielsen, the movement of him, they were very, very good. The 2 fullbacks, Jimenez and Truffert. I mean, Jimenez he had field day against Gabby at times, but to give Leeds United some props as well. The back 3 of Justin, Rodon, and Justin, Yaka and Pascal in the first half especially were brilliant. Pascal I thought was excellent all game. I thought Yaka was very good all game as well. Rodon slotted in there nicely. I thought the fullback struggled, and we'll get into picking that apart a little bit. And then to top it off, in behind them 3 at the back, Caldalo was unreal tonight. It was brilliant. And when you go to these teams that are flying high, chasing Europe, nothing else to play for Bournemouth. Their eggs are all in the basket of finishing as high as they can in the Premier League to qualify for Europe. Away from home, they've not lost since the 3rd of January. Unbeaten now for Bournemouth. And they're a very, very good side. Iriola's leaving at the end of the season. The tails are up. They're just a well-run operation, and they've got so much talent within that team. I think we've done unbelievably well during the whole game, and then to come away with the point, it just shows what this team are about. Like Gav said at the start, this team never gives up, and they don't. They are, and they're a testament to the coaching staff, the fan base. We are so lucky to have these in this stage of the progression, because technically we spoke all season about them not being good enough, and I still think that stands, but they've just bridged that gap superbly. And all Leeds fans have ever asked for, apparently, is a team that gives it everything and puts the hearts and on the line, blood, guts and thunder and all that. And they do that. I think they're brilliant.
I completely agree. Martin, the boss, was with us, absolutely. And Jono, Leeds did great to come away with a point today. Yeah, the team was kept. It was exactly the same as the previous game. And Farker said in his press conference that they take it game by game, and it's maximum for every game. And it's a weird old season, the Premier League. We were just chatting about, what is it going to take to guarantee survival? And, 39 points, it should have felt like, yeah, it's done. But there's just that little niggle in the back of your head because, you see what Xavi Simons can pull out the draw for Tottenham at the weekend. And, West Ham, we know what players they've got and they're capable of winning a few games. So it still feels like we should be fine. We should be absolutely fine. But, you still want to tick points on the board. You still want to be kind of getting those points. And this is another game today, like you said, Jay, like, if you're picking out the fixture list, you're looking at it, you're going, Bournemouth away, it's a stinker, isn't it, really? It's been a stinker for us in the past. We lost 4-1 last time we were there in the Premier League. And like you say, the character of the players, it's I mean, we were joking about it before, but, it feels like you're going to that lower league kind of FA Cup tie. Doesn't it? Where it's a pitch and the fans, it sounds like you're at, a League One game or something. But we just we handled that all really well. And yeah, like you say, the centre backs, the back line, superb.
No, brilliant. I said to you before the Manchester United game that this I thought was the most difficult game between then and the end of the season, including the Manchester United game. I said that to you. Yeah. And it proved, I mean, I know we beat Manchester United and we drew today, but it proved to be the most difficult game, I think, between now and the end of the season. I think Bournemouth, we've seen Bournemouth under Areola. We've had this situation with them before. I mean, you mentioned that game in the relegation season. I think that was his first season. They tore us apart. And, they've been tearing teams apart for a couple of seasons. They've really got their acts together this season. Like I say, since the turn of the year, they've been unbelievable. They're a joy to watch. They're very, very fortunate to have that team, given the fact that they play in front of 11,000 people. It's actually crazy. But, it just shows you what you can do with great off-field management of the club.
It's the 3 Bs, isn't it, Jay? It's Brentford, Brighton and Bournemouth. They do it year in, year out. The structures at the club, and I would bet anything that their new man that they're bringing in at Bournemouth, it'll work. I can imagine it working, absolutely, because it's not like you see Chelsea, they get rid of a manager, and Tottenham get rid of a manager, and they're kind of scrabbling about, and they go for this type of manager, and then this type, flavors of the month. Whereas these clubs just seem to just have a plan. And Bournemouth today, I mean, some of the patterns, attacking patterns. I mean, God, those balls that were just cutting us open in the middle that just get through your entire team, and you're like, Jesus. I mean, you just can't do anything to stop it.
You could make a case. Obviously, we know what's happened with Chelsea today. We'll speak about that at some point. They're in a cohort with Chelsea, Brighton and Bournemouth. You could argue that Bournemouth are the 5th best team in the Premier League right now.
Yeah, you could.
You really could argue that. And, that's insane that Bournemouth are able to do that. They've been able to create that. Given the resources that they should have, given the support, given the history. They were speaking in the build up to the match about when Stephen Fletcher scored in the season that they had minus 17 points in League Two. Yeah. What I mean? Like it's nuts where they've come from, and they've been up and then got relegated and come back again as well. So they're unbelievable, and it seems crazy that we're lording up a point against them so much, but I think it's only fair given what you're watching. When you watch them in front of you, they're a very, very, very good side. Like I said, I think that performance was better than the one that we saw from Manchester City at the Etihad, Liverpool, obviously Manchester United, Chelsea. It were better than all of their performances. The only performance that we've seen better than that we faced is Arsenal. So,
absolutely. 100%. Mark, hi lads, 40 points, great result. Simon, man of the match, Pascal Struyk, absolutely rock solid. Yeah, he was absolutely superb. I mean, that first half, Jay, and I just thought there was a kind of confidence emitting from Leeds. I thought we looked really sharp and we looked really confident. I feel like we couldn't quite get that final ball just spot on at the start. I felt, I don't want to kind of pick or kind of have a go at players or anything, because I think everyone's put a shift in. I thought Okafor's final thing that he would do with the ball just wasn't happening tonight. I thought he still did Okafor stuff where he's carrying the ball yards, he's getting us up the pitch, he's still our main threat. But when it came to that final moment, I didn't feel like it quite happened for him tonight. I mean, he's unlucky not to get the goal in the second half. That was really unlucky. And I just felt that we kind of, and it was a little bit like that with the fullbacks as well. I thought there was that wasn't quite happening. And I felt like that first half, I was fine to just put that first half on repeat, to be honest, and just because I didn't feel like we were under the cosh. I didn't feel like we were really put under pressure. They had a couple of moments, but I just felt we dealt with it very well. And that's the thing with this team. Sometimes, and it is PTSD from the last time we were down. You think, oh God, is it going to happen today? We get absolutely torn to shreds, but it just doesn't. And we've got such a nice blend. I mean, that back three, the way it works, whether it's kind of Rodon or James Justin, it just seems to work.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Okafor was up against one of the best fullbacks in the country. Yeah. Certainly on form right now in Jimenez. I thought he didn't give him any kind of space, really. And you're right, he was really unlucky not to score. I think the fullback, our fullbacks not being at it, created us a real problem in terms of then creating chances. That is where a lot of our great outlet comes from, is from them two. I thought Gabby was really poor today. I thought it was one of his worst performances.
He looked like he was not carrying something, but looked a little bit physically restricted. There were just a couple of moments where he looked a bit heavy. And I just thought,
it's tricky, innit, with some of them. Like, you don't know, as much as they're just going out there to play a game, you don't know how much of an eye they've got on Sunday. It must be hard to focus on tonight when they've got that. And for some players, they will be maybe second guessing the bodies a little bit. And, I don't know whether Jaden was kind of a sufferer of that. I don't know whether it was Ampadu or I forget who the Bournemouth player was that went in with that challenge, but Jaden got a right whack fairly early on in the game. And apparently that's what saw him come off at half time. Yeah. I'm not so sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm not so sure that was the case. I think Jaden was just changed to give Rodon for 45 minutes, and to also put Justin out there, because I don't think Bogle played well at all. I thought they both, like I say, Jaden and Gabby both had really poor games. But we can't expect someone to play brilliantly all the time.
Well, they're huge for us, and in this formation and the way it sets up. You looked at both of them at Old Trafford, for example. They were creating chances, and it has that's a huge aspect to this formation, is that you need those wing backs to be at it.
Yeah, you do. The whole system, especially in the 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, is built around them two being super effective, getting into pockets of space, getting to the byline, whipping crosses in. I especially think that's important from Gabby's side. And we know on the other side, it's kind of built differently on that side, more with Brendan dropping into pockets. But we did see, him get to the byline on that side as well. I would have liked to have seen more crosses into the box today. I don't think Calvert-Lewin had much to really go on. But yeah, it is what we had to, unfortunately, set up a little bit more defensively in terms of the mentality around the team. It allowed us to stay in the game, for long periods of time, and that's why we were still able to then equalise later on into the game. We got lucky with the offside for the third, because that would have been game, set, and match. But it was offside. Offside's offside. It's black and white. We were able to kind of do what we needed to do to stick in the game.
Yeah, and that second half, we're going at 0-0, and we'd not created a lot. There was a really good Brendan moment first half where he kind of got our first shot on target, but we didn't look like we had much attacking threat that first half. Going into the second half, you could see they were at it, and there was, up until their goal, it was kind of getting more and more uncomfortable. They kind of picked up the pace. They were spotting the passes. It's funny because not that we were losing composure with the ball, but your options just seem to shrink, don't they? You just, every player's suddenly got 3 Bournemouth players around them, and there's no space or time. And eventually, I mean, they kind of hassle and hustle, and Tanaka, makes a mistake. And what I will say about Tanaka as well is, like, we touched on it in the group, and these are big moments, and this is why he did lose his place in the side. Now, I actually thought he was good tonight. I actually thought, I mean, he had a couple of moments, but I still think he was fine. I mean, he made a brilliant tackle where he followed his man into the box later on. But those moments, Jay, where he's trying to do something, and if it pulls off, it looks spectacular, but you lose the ball against a Bournemouth midfield, and within 10 seconds, the ball's in the back of the net because we're not set up properly. He needed to protect possession, get it to a man, simple ball, which I think he has been doing, since he's come back into the team, but it just got away from him, and you're punished, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, just firstly on the kind of attacking intent, Brendan's chance. I thought Brendan had a really good game, actually. I thought from an attacking sense, he was our best player. He was taking the ball on the half turn and running at Bournemouth, which is nice to see. There were a good chance that kind of opened up right at the beginning of the second half that Okafor kind of like mishits because a Bournemouth player got a tackle, and that all came from Brendan. The chance that he created at the end of the first half was all his own doing. He looked lively. In an attacking sense, not just in the defensive sense. Yeah. Me and you actually disagree, which we don't often do in terms of what I thought from Tanaka in the first half. There were nice moments. I thought he got caught on his heels too often. He got caught where the ball was bouncing for him, and if he'd have been just a little bit sharper at thought, he'd have then nicked in and got the ball or been able to control it, whereas they were hoofing it up to reset and then the moment in which he then, because I thought he actually had a better second half defensively, it was set up really nicely, but that moment is exactly the moment I banged on about all season. We've seen that moment before. Now, I'm not looking for an opportunity to just jump on Tanaka now. He's been brilliant and he's deserved to be back in the team. And I still think he should play on Sunday, regardless of who's available. I think he should still start. He's earned the right, and he's earned the right to make a mistake. Yeah. But when people are going to sit here and say that he should have played regardless over all of this period of time, that's not true. And we've seen it again tonight in that moment. Directly, that mistake from our Tanaka cost us a goal. Now, if we needed to have won tonight or got a point tonight, and that would have cost us, we'd have been all looking very differently, or we should have been at that mistake. Now, it'll get swallowed up. People won't mention it because it's our Tanaka. If that had been Ilya Gruev and we'd have drew 2-2, we'd have been hearing nothing else but it. So you just have to be fair. And our Tanaka alone, including tonight or not including tonight, has cost us several points this season through mistakes. Like, players make mistakes all the time, but them kind of mistakes are in here. It's a concentration decision making thing, and that's why Tanaka lost his place in the first place. So we just have to be fair. That's all. We just have to be fair with the balance of praise to negativity, because just for no reason Tanaka was being heralded as this saviour. When he was making game-changing mistakes.
No, absolutely. And then, it's 1-0, Jane, you're thinking, fair enough, really. They've put the pressure on, they've got the lead. This is going to be a difficult night for us. But Farke rung the changes, brought on Metcher, brought on Willie. I thought Metcher looked just immediately kind of up to the pace. He was so great. He looked really up to the pace of the game straight away. And obviously Willie has his impact as well. And all of a sudden, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Sometimes our games just flip like a pancake, and we were suddenly just so at them, and they were really on the back foot. And that period of time, you're thinking, can we do something here? And that ball just wouldn't go out of the box for them, would it? It was just bouncing around, and it was like we kind of blew the ball into the net. And it's that kind of spirit that I love, Jay. When you see that, the fact that let's praise Farke as well. I mean, he's made those changes. His intent is to then go after it, and he's not just going to kind of be happy taking a 1-0 loss. He's going to try and make something happen, and he did. He got these players on the pitch. It made a huge difference. And we get back into the game.
Yeah, it'd been easy for him to leave 3 centre-backs on and bring Brendan off and play Metcher off Calvert-Lewin that way instead, and he didn't. He went to the 4-2-3-1. He trusted, the players, Ampadu, to drop in between that back line when needed to open up different opportunities. Because they go man for man, when you've got 3 at the back, it leaves a different dynamic. So if you're playing 4 at the back, because then 2 centre backs, it leaves another player having to be dragged back the other way. So it makes a lot of sense to actually go 4-2-3-1 at that moment, especially when you're chasing the game. And it did change the game. I thought Metcher, when he came on, was excellent. His presence was causing him all sorts of trouble. He was looking agile and athletic. He created some, half chances out of nothing really for himself. Hits the post as well. It was very, very good. As was Willie Gnonto. Gnonto comes on and makes a nuisance of himself on the right-hand side. We don't usually see him on that side, but he did well. He's not fully responsible, but majorly responsible for the first equaliser. Comes in off of James Hill afterwards. And we did take the game to them. And like I said, when you've got opposition in front of you that are so dangerous and so capable of scoring goals at any point, it makes it difficult to attack. Because you're always conscious of what's going to go back the other way. But we're lauding Bournemouth up here. If Bournemouth were perfect, they'd be in the Champions League spots. They'd be flying. So they've clearly got some deficiencies still within them defensively. I think they've drawn 4 home games in a row now, which is it shows that they still can be got at. And we did manage to create enough chances, I think, from that moment onwards to kind of still be enough of a threat. And above all else, as we've now said a couple of times, it's just that never know when to lose attitude. This team's lost 4 games in 26, I think it is now, in all competition. 4 losses in 21 Premier League games. For a team that's on 40 points at 5th bottom, it's bloody impressive, whether the draws or not. Again, we've not seen JB back since he went off on me a few weeks ago and said he will come back when draws were proven not to be enough. Well, draws have proven to be just enough. They've proven to be brilliant. These points away at Bournemouth, as an example, are really, really, really important.
Yeah, they are.
So,
100%.
And, by the way, we broke a record today, right? Of we're not losing away from home. I'm sure we did.
Is that right? Wow.
I'm sure we said it last week. I'm sure it goes back to like the 50s or something.
Wow. That's away from home, it's ridiculous this season. We've not won loads, but God, we haven't lost loads either. It's absolutely crazy. After that, he pulls it back to 1-1. It felt like we were still kind of at it for a few minutes, and then it felt like that tide kind of turned again. They make a couple of changes, like you say, they're bringing on very technically gifted players, and that momentum kind of swung back to them. And then, just a ridiculous through ball. That ball through just cuts everyone apart. It's just a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah,
they go 2-1 up. And the game's going on. At that point, did you have any hope we could possibly get back into it? Then I'd accepted the loss, to be completely honest. And then obviously when they go and get the 3rd goal, it's dead and buried at that point. But it was funny actually, because what I did is when they scored, I took it back. I took the match back because I wanted to see what happened with the goal. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden I was a couple of minutes behind the stream, and then when I caught it up, it was getting ruled out for offside. So I was buzzing, because I was like, they've scored again, have they? And it was like, no, they're ruling out that goal. I thought, interesting. And then kind of immediately, I think Willie had it out on the right after that, and suddenly, it was almost like, look, 2-1, few minutes left, here we go. And then Sean Longstaff comes and pops it in. I just want to say for the second goal, because if we're going to kind of out Tanaka for the first goal, Longstaff don't follow that runner. He don't follow Adams.
No, I don't. It's Tyler Adams, isn't it?
It's like, because I watch it live. I saw that. I was like, where's? And then Longstaff, it's almost like, oh shit. I'm like,
there's a bit of a if you watch it back, there's a bit of a few moments. Gabby gets caught in the midfield. He's out of position. Ampadu then ends up at left back, which then leaves a big space in the centre of midfield. There's a runner off into that right back area, the left back area where Gabby should be. And because then Longstaff's worried about leaving the centre of the pitch, which he has to, but he doesn't, it then creates that overload down that side. That's what happens when you lose the ball quickly and the turnovers high. That's why Bielsa ball works so well. Iriola ball is a variation of Bielsa ball. It creates high turnovers, high up into the pitch. Think about how many times we used to win the ball 20, 30 yards into the opposition half. And before you knew it, the ball were in the back of the net. Because they haven't got time to react. No. So, but just like I said with the Tanaka moment, there's always a mistake somewhere when a goal is conceded. So, alas, it is what it is. But I think on the whole, they dealt with it really well.
Yeah, and he made up for it, didn't he? I mean, a lovely finish again from Longstaff, second against Bournemouth this season. Yeah. And to get it at the end like that as well, Jay. I mean, I just could not believe it, mate. And for it to be us as well, because we've had some kick in the teeth late on post 90 minutes. We've had some stinkers this season, so it's nice to finally chalk one on the board for us. We
definitely owed them one because at Ellen Road we were by far the better team. We should have won that game. It weren't like tonight.
No.
We were totally dominant against Bournemouth. We're 2-1. We're just about to win the game. Tanaka gives a stupid free kick away and we don't defend it properly. That's literally what happened. So, we deserved that tonight on the balance of the season, shall we say.
100%. Getting into some individual performances then, Gavin Darlow has been unreal. Do you know, I don't know who I'm watching in net, Jay. What has he become with his distribution, by the way? He's like throwing the ball, he's doing these clever little passes in between attackers. He's so brave with the ball. And I'm like, are we going to have a conversation about this guy next year? Because this is getting silly now. The saves that he's pulling off, his distribution. I don't know who this guy is. I mean, it's crazy to think what he was like when when we first watched him play for Leeds. I would never in a million years thought we would get this, even like earlier this season. Like this. But what is going on? I mean, it's crazy. It's great because he looks to me like a super confident keeper at the minute, and the way he's like whipping a ball out, throwing a ball out, and it's just unbelievable.
The big thing for me is his concentration. Like the little half bounces that come through to him coming at the right time and staying at the right time. Bournemouth had this weird kind of distribution into the centre of the box where they were whipping it from a funny angle, like quite narrow into the pitch rather than being out wide. And he had to read the flight of them a few times and really stick true to what he decided was going to happen here, and he got it perfect every time. He came and claimed properly. His punches were very good. His distribution was brilliant, and then he made some massive saves as well. The one with the foot towards the end of the first half was huge because you're going at half time 1-0 down. It's a different game. Keeps us in it. I'm not going to say so much that I was wrong with regards to my opinion on him because I think it was based on what we knew before. But I was definitely against this kind of direction of going with Darlow over a more confident Perry after the cup games. Daniel Farke's nailed it. He's got it perfect because he's gone on and produced even more. He definitely deserves an extension if he wants it. But it depends on what the pathway. I know we mentioned the Spurs deal. If Spurs go down, Spurs go down and they're prepared to give Karl Darlow a 2-year contract. Karl Darlow should take it. And go there and be first choice at Spurs for 2 years. He really should because, he's 35. He's no spring chicken. But then goalkeepers sometimes they can have a glow up a little bit later on in their career. 35 as a goalkeeper is not 35 as an outfield player. No. So maybe he's just maybe he's just got it.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Simon, surely Darlow can't play ahead of Perry on Sunday. Yeah, I mean that's going to be an interesting one. I think you've got to play your best player.
I think you will. I think you will. I have a feeling Farke will go with Darlow over Perry. I kind of feel like he shouldn't because cup keeper, league keeper, and Perry has done so much to help us get here as well. But is there room for any sentiment when an FA Cup semi-final is concerned? If you think, we'll play the strongest team outside of that, won't we? In this game, in an FA Cup semi-final, every single other player is going to be playing that is first choice. So why should this be any different, I guess?
Well, you got the recent thing with like a recent example with Arsenal and Kepa, aren't you? He plays him because he's the cup keeper and he makes a mistake in the final.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Perry has got a mistake in him as well. So I'd be sticking with Darlow, to be honest.
Sorry to interrupt you. The reason that it's different, so I'm seeing a few people saying like, oh, we should be, he'll stick with Perry, or he should stick with Perry. The cup competitions are an opportunity to rotate your squad, right? So I think, if I'm right, Darlow actually started the cup competitions.
Yeah.
Because bear in mind at the time Perry was number 1. So I'm pretty sure Darlow actually at the beginning of the season, he definitely played against Sheffield Wednesday because we made a clanger. So there's been a dynamic change within the squad for a start, and also it's an opportunity to rotate all players, right? So during the cups, we've seen Joe Perreault play. We saw Tanaka get his chance back into the team. We've seen other Bonhouse played.
Yeah,
Buonanotte played away at Birmingham. So we've seen other rotations happen that we wouldn't expect to see play on Sunday because we're playing Chelsea in a semi-final at Wembley. So I actually am more leaning towards the fact that it doesn't make as much sense to just start Perry because he's the goalkeeper. I don't think he is. I think he's just been rotated in to get game time. Do you get what I mean? There's a difference in there.
Yeah, and I'm not buying the sentimental kind of side of it either. It's like, it might be harsh, but I don't care about his feelings about even if he thinks, well, I got us through in the penalty shootout. It's like, no, I want the best Leeds United side out there on that pitch in a semi-final where, we haven't been there for, 39 years. I want us to, absolutely give it our best. So it'll be interesting. I think I don't know. If it is Perry, I hope he has an amazing game. I really do, but I'm just not sure. Elsewhere, let's give flowers to someone who I think probably on this channel, on our show, Jay, we're probably on the side of a little bit of pessimism with him. We've had a few doubts over a number of years, but I think this season generally has been top class, and I think he's absolutely cemented himself in that left centre back role. That is Pascal Struyk, vice captain, and I thought it was immense tonight. I thought it was absolutely immense, and I think he's one of them. I think he's another bit of a fan favourite, and I think some fans have had blinkers on with him a little bit in the past. We've said that for a long time. This season, he's surprised me. This season, he has exceeded my expectation, and it's going to be fascinating to know what we do with Pascal, because I think his deal, I think we're talking about a new deal or whatever, but there's an opportunity in the kind of world we live in money-wise where if we do sell him for a nice chunky fee, it's pure profit. I think Leeds fans are actually going to have to get on board this when we're losing some favourites, because I think it's what happens in football these days, and it has to happen. But sticking with tonight, Pascal, absolutely first class. I mean, distribution, putting his body on the line, his reading of the game. I just thought it was superb tonight, Jay.
Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree with you more. And, there is absolutely nothing wrong. And I think it's one of the best attributes a content creator can have. And this isn't me bigging myself up. I'm talking about when I watch content, is to somebody to say my opinion has changed.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't always mean that you were wrong. Now, if I was wrong in the past, I would say I was wrong in the past as well. I was right in the past where Pascal's concerned. The opinion that people used to have has now developed into being right.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Like, Pascal Struyk was full of Pascal Struykisms. He was full of mistakes. His concentration was a huge problem. He would get caught in the wrong spaces. He would chase the ball too often. His passing distribution wasn't as good as what the statistics made out. He would often make his teammates stretch too much, or overhit or underhit, and put his teammates in trouble. This season he's been brilliant. He really has. He's stepped up exceptionally. Well, I think the three at the back suits him. more.
Yeah.
I think it really does. I think it, and I said the same goes for Jakobio as well. By the way, I think Jakobio is a far better centre back in a back three than he is in a back two. So I think that makes a big difference. I think having it on the left hand side again makes him even more comfortable. Pascal, I don't like it when he has to bring it onto his right foot, just like I don't like it when Jakobio has to bring it onto his left foot. So he deserves all the praise, mate. What he's done this season more so than ever is he's cut out them mistakes. He's cut out the laxes and concentration. He's become a far better all-round defender. His positional awareness is a million times better than it was even last season. And his reading of the game, and he stepped up brilliantly, mate. And I mean, he's always been very good in the air. The attributes that he's always been good at, he's grown into them as well. I'd like to see him, Yaka, and Rodon score more goals and get on more headers in the box. I think that's still a bit of we got it good, and then it's gone back a little bit. But that I'm picking holes. I thought it was brilliant tonight. I said to you early on, I thought him and Yaka were excellent together in that first half. They defended the box brilliantly, and they will put the bodies on the line, both of them. They are full committed defenders. I agree with you. I think he's going to be a player, especially after a full season of fitness, that is going to be probably highly attractive to a lot of other clubs, given his age still and the amount of games that he's played. He must have played over 100 Premier League games now. He must have done in his first seasons and this one. So, come a long way, mate, and he deserves all the credit. And so does Daniel Farke. He's another player that Daniel Farke has coached into being a better footballer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he could have easily gone down the Meslier route for me, because he was someone who also got absolutely smashed to pieces in that relegation season. Struyk was terrible, Meslier was terrible, and they were both young players, and you have sympathy with them because the setup wasn't right at the time. But it's a rebuilding process, and whereas unfortunately Elan's kind of gone one way, Struyk hopefully has come through that and improved.
You have to remember as well, Pascal ended up spending a lot of time playing at left back, which he should never have done. I mean, when I watch
how did that happen?
I know, but when you watch it, it's because of the recruitment were bad, wasn't it? And when we had injuries, he had no choice. He was the only left-footed player, defensive player at the club. But when you watch him, can you imagine him ever being able to play left back? No. When you think about it, really, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's mental, absolutely mental. We ever did that. Elsewhere on the pitch, I mean, an interesting kind of selection dilemma potentially, depending on Bogle. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier for Farke. But James Justin, Joe Rodon, right centre-back role. Joe saw the pitch tonight. I mean, how do you see that kind of battle between those two for that right centre-back role? It's a really intriguing one with James Justin's form. I would never have kind of taken Rodon out of the team. I'm still probably leaning towards Rodon out of the two, but I can't deny or, shy away from what Justin has brought to this team. I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal.
I'll be honest with you. I think James Justin is the first name on the team sheet out of the three at the minute. So Bogle, Rodon and Justin. I think you play Justin and then you pick which one out of the other two that you want to play. That's how I feel about it. I think he's been that good, that consistent. I think he's more versatile than Bogle and Rodon in both positions. He can go both ways. I think he's good enough in the air. He gives us a bit more from a creative element than maybe not than Jayden does. Jayden's better in a more of a direct approach, but I don't know. That's what I think. I think Justin is the pick. And then do you want the defensive side of Rodon at right centre-back and then Justin at right wing-back? Or do you want Bogle as the attacking intent on the right wing-back slot and then Justin inside him at right centre-back? That's how I feel about it. And if I had to kind of leave my gut, I think there's a real reality that he might drop Jayden Bogle for Sunday. And I think it's harsh on him because he's been brilliant this season. But I just get a gut feeling that that's what he's going to do come Sunday.
Yeah, I've got a sneaking suspicion too, because he loves Joe Rodon. We all love Joe Rodon. I think Joe is, he's a stalwart of this team, but I think it's impossible to ignore what James Justin does. And Bogle, he's been absolutely brilliant since he joined the club, but you get those up and down moments with him.
Yeah, you do.
A little bit more inconsistency with Bogle compared to Justin, or what Rodon gives you at that right centre-back role, and I think you're right. Looking at it, James Justin Farker's probably looking at that going, he's the, he's playing.
I actually think he really likes him.
The other two.
I think Farker really likes James Justin as well. I think you can just get a feeling that he can rely on him.
Yeah, I agree. Got a couple of comments coming through. Baron Cross has reported Farker, when asked if Leeds are safe, I'm confident we are. Experienced and long enough in this business, we will just celebrate once it's mathematically done, but I'm confident on 40 points, 7 games unbeaten in all competitions. And why should we lose all the last 4 games? I mean, as ever, Mr. Farker, speaking sense. Mentally, I mean, we always used to talk, didn't we, back in the day about 40 points. That was always that kind of mythical number, wasn't it? But then it's been reduced significantly through the years. But it still feels like a big milestone, doesn't it, getting the 40 points?
I saw something on Sky the other day that said that the average, I'm pretty sure the average over the last, I want to say 10 years, but I feel like I'm making that up. But it was the average over a sustained period of time in the Premier League was 30.6 points. I'm pretty sure it was 10 years. 30.6, so let's just call it 31. That's what the average has been over more recent years, and it's steadily gone down from 40 to 36. And Benjamin Bloom actually made a point on a pod I was watching the other day that this 40 points is a myth. It's like a complete myth. That's what you need to be safe in the Premier League. It hasn't been 40 points on a regular basis for 25 plus years. It's a long time. The way that the Premier League has changed, the teams at the top and the amount of points that they get on such a regular basis. I mean, this season is going to be low for the top 2 teams, but we've seen it recently where Man City and Liverpool were on like 98 points each. You know what I mean? He's crazy. So 40 seems unassailable for me. I keep looking. I can't help but kind of go through these permutations and the cycles of the games, and I look at the fixtures that Forest, West Ham, and Spurs have got, and I can't make any case that for 3 teams that have struggled all season, that with 5 games to go, are going to all pick up the points that they need to finish on 41 points. No. It just seems impossible to me.
No, it's that kind of delusion you get into, and I think that's where probably Spurs and West Ham fans are at, where if you get a sniff of something at that point, you're like, yeah, we can rally, we can win 3 games or 4 games. I mean, the chances are so,
based on what?
Exactly. I mean, Spurs go to Wolves this weekend. They haven't won a game this season. I mean, if they were to drop points at Wolves, it's done. It has to be done. What do you think Spurs, West Ham, Forest fans are thinking when they watch Leeds tonight and they've seen us snatch a point there?
They'll probably be like, oh, they were lucky and stuff like that without really looking at it in some context. I think a lot of objective fans of them clubs, I've watched some good content actually, especially from Spurs fans. I think a lot of them will be like, that Leeds team has everything that our team doesn't, in that they'll fight and they'll stick in with it and they'll really want it and they'll make it happen one way or another. And I think that's what they'll be saying. I don't think any of them 3 are out of it. I know people are ruling Forest out of it now because they've got this 5-point gap, but when you look at their fixtures, they've got extremely difficult fixtures. If anything, they've got the hardest fixtures out of the 3 of them. Yeah, they've just got the 5-point cushion. I think there's a reality that Forest might not finish on any more than 38 points. Yeah, I really do. So I think it's going to be. I still think it's going to be tough. I still think it'll be Spurs. I think Spurs. Their season could come down to this weekend. If they don't beat Wolves, it's over. Forget about it. Everybody else should just pack up and go on, because they're not gonna all of a sudden then start winning enough points if they can't beat Wolves in the last 4 games. They're just not going to do it. So, but I think they will win. I think they will win at the weekend.
Yeah,
I just can't believe a world in which they're not going to win another game.
Do you know, I've got a feeling about West Ham. Watching West Ham the other night, who did they play? Played Palace, didn't they? There's something about West Ham. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they're out of this. Somerville was off it, but Somerville and Bowen were massively off it the other night. Nuno was cautious that second half because you were like almost waiting for West Ham to kind of go for it here. Second half, Palace looked pretty limp, but they just kind of sat back and it look. It's a point away at Palace. That's what we did, but I don't know. I'm not sure about them. I'm not 100% convinced that West Ham are out of this.
They're not. They're definitely not out of it. I agree with you. I thought they were really poor the other night, and I thought if anything, they were waiting for Palace to score. They do get the ball in the back of the net. They were unfortunately come off Mateta's hand in the build-up. They didn't look like they really wanted to win the game. The best chance of the game went to Brennan Johnson, and I don't know what he does with that header, like a defensive header. It looked limp, and I've not really been that convinced by them anyway, if I'm honest with you. I don't think they've ever looked like, even though the form has been good, they get a good win against Wolves, and I can't remember who the other win was. They squirmed the point out of City with one shot on goal the whole game, and people are like, oh, they've got a point against Manchester City. It's not, you've got to put some context with it as well. And I think the same goes for the Spurs performance. I've listened to a lot of Talk Sport this week and a lot of fan reaction, a lot of punditry reaction. They're talking this performance up against Brighton as if they were brilliant and they got unlucky. They didn't. They really didn't. Spurs weren't good.
I agree with completely. I've listened to a few podcasts, this stuff, and journalists they really showed something. I was like, Brighton could have killed them off if Brighton had been just a little bit more on it, a little, a bit sharper and a bit better. They'd have killed them. I didn't think it was that good from Spurs at all.
Brighton could basically conceded 2 own goals, and I know the Javi Simmons goal were a worldie, but the throwaway to give the ball away in the build-up to it was just unforgivable. And then Verbruggen makes such a mistake in the first goal. Spurs pressed better than they have done. They were better than they have been before De Zerbi. Fine, but they still weren't good. No. There's this narrative that's kind of getting pushed because people want to believe that they're kind of on the way back, and maybe that'll help the Spurs players improve their future performances. Maybe it will, but the reality of what you were watching, it just felt like we were waiting for Brighton to score at any given time. To me,
100%. Absolutely, 100%. This might have been similar to the stat you were saying, possibly, Early Jay. United's longest unbeaten away run since 1979. I mean, 1979, what? That's crazy. When you think of the teams we've had and the Wilco era, the O'Leary era, I mean, staggering. Absolutely staggering.
Just flash it back up again for me.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
That's okay. You've spot on, mate. And I think, again, you need to, we're allowed to kind of break some of these down as well. The 2-1 win, the first time ever in 45 years that we've beaten them at their place. The domination that we had in the West Ham game up until the 91st minute. The Crystal Palace game where we're down to 10 men from the 45th minute, and we would have won that game. I mean, we missed a penalty in that game as well. Aston Villa, we were 1-0 up and conceded in the 93rd minute to a bobble. I can't remember if it was Tammy Abraham or whoever it was. You know what I mean? So when you actually start looking at the actual context of these games, the Everton game, we were winning that game as well. The one that I'm going to avoid talking about is the Chelsea game because we were very lucky that day. We had to pull ourselves back into that. But there's a load of context within them results as well that really shows how good that's been. And so many more of them should have actually been wins, especially the Villa and the Palace games. Yeah. We should have had another 4 points out of them too. So I think it's unbelievable. And again, we've had to try and convince fans all season about Daniel Farke. Longest unbeaten since 1979. This is your manager, people.
I know it's wild. It's wild. I'm glad we've we stuck behind it as well. We kept going, but what he's delivered is absolutely remarkable. And let's turn attention to the next one around the corner this weekend. I mean, God, the biggest game in Leeds' modern history for a number of years, and the potential to get through to an FA Cup final. I've only ever seen us in one cup final in my lifetime. It was an absolute nightmare. The Aston Villa game, when I was 11, this is not a frequent occurrence. This is not a free. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm at a point in my life and where the club is and what the club is at the moment where I'm like, I want a successful era now. I want us to be building into that. I'm desperate for that. That's what I want more than anything, is that Leeds, this is not going to be, right, we made it to the semi-final now and it doesn't happen for another 25 years. No, I want to see, because even when, under O'Leary, look, we had European semi-finals, amazing. But, we certainly didn't deliver on, domestic cups. We certainly didn't, we didn't get to Wembley. We didn't get close really to get to Wembley under that great era, which was disappointing. And it makes you realise the magnitude of what we've done this year, by the way, first year back in the Premier League as well. So there's a lot riding on it, all the history with Chelsea as well. There's that whole backdrop to it. They've sacked Liam Rosenior, unfortunately, today, you may think. So they're in free fall, they're in disarray. It feels like a good time to be playing them. I mean, haven't they lost several games on the trot or something now? I mean, they're absolutely abject against Brighton, awful against Brighton. It feels like such a good opportunity for Leeds does this. And we're in a season, Jay, where we're defying and breaking these negative records, and we're achieving things we've not achieved for a long, long time. Can we do it? Can we take this one final step and get to an FA Cup final? It'd be monumental.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we're going to the weekend as underdogs, just because of the quality between the two teams. But there is definitely never a better opportunity for us to beat one of the bigger teams within the division so early in our journey back to being an established Premier League team. Chelsea going at this they've lost 5 in a row. They didn't have a shot on target against Brighton. They've not scored in 5 games either, which is crazy, really, when you look at how much talent they've got. Now, I do believe that there'll be a reaction. I think it's really important in the early parts of the game on Sunday that we keep them out 20, 25, 30 minutes. And kind of hope to create that doubt back in their mind, because what a caretaker manager will usually do is look to just keep it basic, keep it simple. They'll just tell them to go out there and do the thing. They won't try and put too many tactics in there and stuff like that. So you're just going to see the raw quality of their ability against our raw quality of our ability with a good setup. So we're going to have to negate that quality. Now, we've beaten Chelsea this season, and we drew with them from a position in which we shouldn't have. There's no reason why we're going to this game fearing Chelsea. There should be no reason whatsoever. We've shown that we're capable of doing a number on them. I mean, at Ellen Road, it's one of the best performances we've seen this season. We're brilliant. So, and the magnitude of what's involved for us is absolutely massive. It feels a little bit to me like this is our final. I can't lie. The likelihood of us then doing this again and beating Man City in the final, we're all assuming that Man City are going to beat Southampton, given the mood that they're in at this stage. Now, even though we've been competitive against City, the likelihood is that's going to be a stretch too far for us. But if we can win at Wembley, get to an FA Cup final and give ourselves an opportunity, you could go into that game and 2 minutes in, Rodri gets sent off for a 2-footed lunge and the situations are totally different, right? So we have to approach this like it is our final. And what a season it'd be if we got to an FA Cup final and stayed in the Premier League, so...
Phenomenal. I mean, what would it mean to you, Jay? Watch the club get to an FA Cup final? I mean, it couldn't have felt further away, if you talk about being back in the doldrums, back when we were that championship team that just nothing exciting happened past November every season. It was like your season's done. And now look at it.
Yeah, mate, it'll mean everything. I mean, we've spoken a bit, and I'll just share. I've seen it. We'll come to it. We'll come to JB's message. We'll come to it. Unbelievably, if we get to the FA Cup final, my flight to go to Cyprus is at 3:00 on Saturday, the 16th of May, and I'm already stressing about it. Yeah. And we're not even there yet. Now, there's a probability that we probably won't get through Sunday, and it won't matter. But if we do, I've got a real problem on my hands, because I'm going to have to try and move a flight to my best mate's wedding. We're going over to Cyprus for 10 days. And I can't even try and put it into words how devastated I will be if, for whatever reason, I cannot watch that final if we get there. I can't even. I've tried explaining it to my missus, and she's hearing the words, but she's not understanding the emotion and the reason. So I have got a bit of a dilemma on my hands. I have got the luxury of being able to go on Sunday. I am going to be at Wembley. I'm buzzing for it. I'm hoping that we can at least see a goal, if I'm honest. I've been to 4. This will be my 4th kind of visit. 1 at the Millennium Stadium, 2 at New Wembley. I was only 6 when we lost to Villa in '96, so I do remember watching it on TV, but I don't remember it as such, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's going to be a moment, and I just hope to be able to really bask in it and enjoy it, and then I'll deal with the final situation afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is it. I mean, we walked away from that playoff final from Wembley, and there's no worse feeling. There's no, it's just a horrible, horrible feeling when you're walking away from Wembley on the end of a loss where you'd not scored again. You're thinking, oh my God.
We didn't even know what to say to each other, did we? Coming out of Southampton, really. Like we had the pleasure of going together, and it were a really great experience. I'm really glad that I got to do it with you. Going down there, it were great. I loved it.
It was great, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was. But walking away in the mingle, because getting out of Wembley is a bitch. And you're walking mingled in with other Leeds fans, Southampton fans, and then you're stuck there. Do you remember how long we were stood waiting to get through that bottleneck? And you're just getting more pissed off, more cantankerous. It was just horrible. It was just an horrible, horrible experience. Yeah, one that I don't want to have to do again, really.
No, please, if we can avoid it. Well, he has turned up to the stream. We did wonder earlier if he was going to be on. Mate, JB, Jason, you was right, mate. I will be a man and say fair play, lads. Now, JB had a couple of doubts about Farker, that he's heading fast. But fair play to you, mate, coming on. You see, we just, give it time. It's all worked out in the end.
And then, you know what? We'll get into next season, and me and you will still be doing this to however many people we're fortunate enough to do it in front of. And we will go through the same circumstances again at some point pretty soon, where oh well, this team's going to win this many games, and we start creating narratives because we're so emotional and so kind of drawn into it. But the reality is like people were adamant that Palace were going to beat that West Ham were going to beat Palace on Monday night. And I was like, they probably won't, because they don't win very often, because they're one of the worst teams in the division. Like it is just the way that it is. We did it in the Ipswich season, and that was the only season that kind of defied the logic. But the reality is usually it'll play out. And I've always seen this season that the performances have been good enough to see the points eventually come. And all in points that we started picking up away from home, we're just seeing that list of results there. Yeah, a lot of them are draws, but there's a lot of points in there, Brownie. A lot of points, and that's what keeps you up. 34 games gone, 40 points on the board for a team that just needed to finish 17th this season is bloody impressive, mate.
No, absolutely, JB. But you have to admit, drawing games was so frustrating. But when you sit back and actually look at it, you was absolutely spot on. I will never doubt the German D again. Never marching together. All Leeds are we. Yeah, absolutely. Nice little comment here from Graham Smith, by the way, says, after the Leeds goal was given tonight, Ampadu gave a little grin at Tyler Adams as he ran past him. Because one Tyler Adams was giving it the big one after.
He was giving it to big one to fans, yeah. He was giving it big one to Leeds fans on it. I've seen Tyler Adams and Ethan Ampadu kind of come they collided together in a challenge as well. He knows what it's about. And bear in mind, Tyler Adams was here at the start of Ethan Ampadu's career at Leeds, because Tyler Adams was still on the books in game week 1.
Right, God, yeah, that's right.
He was injured and he was walking the pitch at the end of the game. Right. God, they will have crossed paths, and Ethan Ampadu basically is they're very, very similar players. Very similar players. Tyler Adams is excellent. He's just got an injury checkered history. He's a top player. I mean, I wish we still had him. But I wouldn't swap him for Ethan Ampadu either. because he's a leader of men, and he's the man that was there when Tyler Adams didn't want to be. So I think that's fair play to our Ethan tonight. Good on him.
I love that, and another good performance from him as well.
Brilliant.
Good stuff. Any final thoughts then before we sign off, Jay? Another point, 40 points done, and an FA Cup semi-final to look forward to.
Yeah, I think the Premier League season's as good as done. I think 40 will be enough. I think 39 would have been enough as well, but I think 40 will be enough. And I expect us to pick up at least another 3. I think we beat Burnley at home. I actually think we'll probably finish on 45.
Yeah,
I think we beat Burnley, and I think there's a likelihood that we maybe even beat Spurs. But I think that there'll be 2 points in Spurs and Brighton.
Yeah,
I just can't see us losing as last home game of the season. But Brighton might have a lot on the line, so it could be. But I just don't see it. It could be tricky. And then West Ham away, I just have a sneaky feeling that we'll probably lose to West Ham away on the final day, not needing very much. That's just my gut feeling. But I think we finished between 43 and 46, which is a hell of a result for this season. Going into the weekend, I'm just going to try and enjoy it. I'm not going to stress out about it too much. If the game's tight and we, concede in the 95th minute and we lose 1-0, I'll be absolutely heartbroken. But if we go there and on Sunday and we're beaten 2-0 and it's comfortable, I'm just going to walk away and go, you know what, it's been this season's resulted in us getting to Wembley, and we've lost to a Chelsea side that's been constructed out of about £1 billion, right? So I think that's how I'm approaching it. But I truly believe that we can win on Sunday. I think the dynamic has shifted a little with Rossini being removed, because I think without him being removed, I think Sunday would have been his last game, because he'd have lost to Leeds and then they'd have moved him on. That's what I think would have happened. Now it just shifts that a little bit, but I don't think it changes it completely to the point where we're like, oh, we're not. No. So I'm gonna say, hold that question for a second. Ask me, because I do want to know. I'm gonna manifest again. I'm gonna bring the shirt out. The shirt's coming with me. I'm gonna say that we're gonna win this game 2-1.
I love it, and I'm going to back you up. I'm going to go. I think we're going to win 2-0. 2-0. I think 2-0.
Imagine a 2-0 win.
Oh God, we'd just be watching it forever. It'd be amazing. Liam Rossini, what were your kind of thoughts on Liam Rossini quickly before we go? What did you make of his whole kind of, the way we're talking and everything? It's funny one.
I mean, he set the stall out early, didn't he? With some of the weird stuff that he said, the meaning of manage is to manage and all that,
respecting the ball and all that.
It was a bizarre experiment.
Yeah, it was.
Managing Strasbourg in Ligue 1 is very, very different to managing one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League. One of which has got an untold amount of talent within it, expensive players of which are on mega money. Your history in this country just it doesn't command enough respect from these players. There's so much ego involved, and he's not like when Zidane went into Real Madrid. When you're Zidane, you can command respect from the second that you walk on the pitch. And obviously Zidane's a good manager as well, but you can carry a certain amount as an ex-player. Xabi Alonso probably has it when he were at Leverkusen. I know he didn't work out in Madrid, but you get my point. There's certain players that can walk in and do that. Liam Rossini can't do that. He was a distinctly average fullback for Fulham and Hull, right? I just think it were a bit of an experiment that just was never going to work. And Chelsea have been a basket case for a while. They had a small period of calm under Maresca before that blew up. They'll go on and I think probably recruit a manager that's going to be much more of a staple name. I know Nagelsmann's been mentioned. I think Iriola will be in the running for that job as well. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Stay clear of Chelsea.
Definitely.
It's a payday, obviously, but honestly, if you're building your career, I'd stay. If I were Iriola, I wouldn't touch Chelsea with a.
I mean, if I were Iriola, I don't. it's hard to say because they've all been basket cases over recent times. But there's two jobs that would attract me if I were Iriola. One of them's Manchester United, because I think you've seen there's flashes there that if you get it right, they wouldn't be a mile away. And the other one might be a bit of a shocker is Newcastle.
I was going to say Newcastle.
Because even though they've had a stinker this season, you know that their trajectory is only going one way. So if you can imprint his play with Newcastle's support, recruitment, money behind him, the players that they've got as well, because they've still got a talented team there, he could really take them on. I just feel like Eddie Howe's come to the end of his legs, and there's always going to be a passing of the torch most of the time in Premier League management.
Yeah,
the rare exceptions, Ferguson and Klopp and Pep, but these guys are freaks. Yeah, the rest of them, they've got a shelf life before the message wears out at a particular club.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Good stuff. Right, well, myself and Joe will probably catch up. I think we say Monday, weren't we?
Monday.
We'll
during the day.
During the day, yes, Monday during the day, myself and Jay will be on, giving our thoughts on that FA Cup semi-final, and then looking ahead to more Premier League action. So please do tune in then. If you've not done so already, if you could just smash a like on the video, get subscribed to the channel if you're not, and if you're watching this again later, get your comments in as well. Let us know what you thought on what we've discussed tonight. I've been Stephen Brown, with me as ever, Jason Booker. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, mate.
And we're off to Wembley. See you later. Bye-bye.